18 and Friday cloudy with a high near 24. The Great Wall Restaurant offers an extensive Chinese menu with an emphasis on Szechuan and Mandarin cuisine. Some of their specialties include the double sautéed lamb, seafood delight, and crispy boneless duck. The Great Wall Restaurant is located just north of 50th and France on the Edina-Minneapolis border. More at greatwalledina.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show for your Thursday. Matt, Brett here today. Jack Rice will join us at 4:05. We'll talk about the Chauvin appeal, plus a few other cases he wants to bring up. How are we today, Brett?
Hey, doing good. Glad the snow was not nearly as big as I was hearing it might be, so happy about that.
Well, I'm kind of surprised. Did you see the snow we had during the day today? Did you kind of see the kind of snow we were having?
Yeah.
It was like almost like a drizzle snow.
Yeah, it was very
I
odd.
Yeah, it was. And yeah, so I got to tell you the truth. There's part of me is kind of surprised. It says I just checked right before we went live. It says we had 3 inches. I was like, you got 3 inches of that? It has to be falling a lot harder if it's going to get 3 inches of that. But needless to say, slippery mess in the metro. Enjoy. Bad news, though. Did you see Lake Chipotle? They're draining Lake Chipotle.
Oh, no. And all the wildlife that's going to be in there.
What about the habitat for the ducks? For goodness sakes, we had ducks that were fish that were living there. That was a big puddle, but it only took 2 years. 2 years of absolute mocking of that design of that parking lot for someone that either owns the building Chipotle is in or Chipotle themselves to go, maybe we shouldn't be the butt of all these jokes. It also does not help in any capacity that, to see the people having to wear, knee waders to walk across a parking lot. How as a business do you not realize this is a problem?
If you're a customer, man, you must really like your Chipotle if you're going to be wading through that lake, too.
There's one every block at this point, too. It's not like you have to go to that one or swim to that one. Maybe that's what it is. Is it like one of those Las Vegas pool bars? Only it's not a pool bar. It's a pool Chipotle where you can get yourself some nachos and you just swim around. Oh, God. Ugh, I don't even want to know what was in that water. I think that's where they discovered fusion. That's where, wow, that's the circle of life right there. Ugh. I feel betrayed because I was liking Lake Chipotle. Maybe, just maybe, if you either allow it to stay and allow us to continue to embrace the urbanness of it, or you fix your parking lot. One of the two. Needless to say, I'm going to guess it's whoever owns the land. I'm going to guess Chipotle just rents out that place. But I'm going to guess, it's whoever owns the land finally is like, I better do something here. Everyone's mocking me. I mean, I saw people nationally talking about this, nationally talking about Lake Chipotle in Uptown. The paddle border got me. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Did you have any trouble getting around today, though, when you drove around at all?
No, not really at all. Just as usual, the hill here at the station is a bit of a challenge, but other than that, I was thinking it was going to be much worse on the way in trying to get
This
here.
is one of those pain in the butt storms. There's like one tendril of snow. The storm itself now is like over New York, but there's this one tendril of snow that just manages to come only right on top of Minneapolis right now. So hopefully that will be ending here before too much longer. And they're saying not much more accumulation in any capacity. And it sounded, did the southeastern part of the state get more snow than the rest of us?
That I am not sure. We
I
can
might
probably
have
look
to
it up.
No, I'll have to check that out while we're in the break here. When we get there. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Well, it is, we have now officially hit the debt ceiling, as we are there. The Republicans are very much unified in the idea that you have to have massive cuts to programs. And this is kind of what they are. They couldn't win. They can't win the presidency. They couldn't win the Senate. They barely won the House. And so now they're all in unison saying you have to cut every program down to its bare bone and then we'll think about raising the debt ceiling. And they're trying to basically shut down the government. And by the way, and we want to make sure I understand this. This isn't just, apples, oranges. I'm deciding to do this. You decide to do this. There are some real scary complications that happen with doing this. This could, very legitimately could lead to a worldwide depression, not just a recession, an absolute depression worldwide, because frankly, the rest of the world needs the U.S. economy humming right along. So what the Republicans are basically doing is taking a stick and jamming it in the wheel. Now, I'm going to talk a lot about this here to begin with, because it's a common trope for Republicans to do something they know is going to create chaos, but benefits them and their supporters. And I'm not talking about the voters for Republicans. I'm talking about the really wealthy people that bankroll them. It helps their benefactors and them, and then expects the rest of us to basically solve the problem that they themselves created. And it's time for us to start asking the basic question: if doing A led to this mess, then why don't you just undo A? Countdown towards possible U.S. government default is in offing, and frictions between Biden and the House Republicans are raising alarms whether the United States can sidestep a potential economic crisis. The Treasury Department on Thursday said in a letter to the congressional leaders it has started taking extraordinary measures as the government is brushed up against its legal borrowing capacity of $38.381 trillion. An artificially imposed cap, the debt ceiling, has been increased roughly 80 times since the 1960s. If you look at it, by the way, funny story, most of the time the debt spending is going crazy. It's under Republican presidents. And mind you, the vast majority of the House Republicans right now watched and applauded as this budget deficit was created. And now they say, now we need some due diligence. Like I said, they create the problem, and then they use said problem to go after their great white whales. Markets so far remain calm, given the government can temporarily rely on accounting tweaks to stay open. At particular moments seems more fraught than past brushes with the debt limit, because the Kevin McCarthy, who presides over a resistive Republican caucus. Those differences increase the risk that the government could default on its obligations. Biden and McCarthy have several months to try to reach an agreement. The Treasury Department imposes extraordinary measures to keep the government operating until at least June. But years of intensifying partisan hostility have led to the conflicting set of demands. And this is by design. This is the Republicans are basically, they changed the laws so that, say, a moderate Republican could not introduce a bill to add to the debt ceiling without it being approved by the far right Republicans. So this is quite literally a hostage situation. Now, there is nothing funnier, I think, than Republican talking heads screaming that the Democrats are, quote unquote, gaslighting everybody by telling them that Republicans are going to get rid of Social Security and Medicaid, Medicare. While at the same time, I can give you a list of at least 20 Republicans who have said we need to have cuts to Social Security and Medicaid, Medicare. So this is not about anyone else. This is about them. And they're not even really trying to hide it anymore. Who was the one guy that said we should raise the retirement age to 80 years old? Because I know a lot of 70-year-olds who want to work. Well, not all 70-year-olds want to work. Now, a reminder about Social Security. You have been paying into Social Security if you have been a worker, which means that's your money. That is your money. And you should get it back. You should get it back. That's the thing. This is Republican mindsets look at the government as big balls of money. NASA, that's a big ball of money. They went out there, got rid of their budget, and basically started paying the private sector to do NASA's job. That's really what it was. They don't really have a budget anymore at NASA. All that money went to the private sector. Education, public education. Used to be that you paid taxes and the taxes went in there and you had an education system. And funny, back when we had that system pretty much universally in place, uh, at least in a lot of America, you had a fairly decent education system. The minute the Republicans started ransacking education budgets to give to private sector individuals and private school, which are private companies, they basically started deteriorating this. But that's once again that big ball of cash, the post office. They're drooling at the post office. They want to dismantle the post office, not because they want to give everybody back their taxpayer dollars. No, they don't want to give you, they're not going to give you your taxpayer dollars. And I'll prove that to you in just a second. They are not going to give you your taxpayer dollars. They look at the post office and they say, boy, that's a lot of money. That could all be put into some wealthy person's pocket. That is who these are. They're greedy SOBs, and that's all they are. So what they've got is a situation where they think they can hold everyone, at hostage by basically forcing now people to get rid of Social Security and Medicaid, Medicare. And when and here's the great kicker about them. Do you think if they actually succeed at this, do you think that they are going to go back to their hometowns and brag about how I got rid of that extra spending and Social Security and this? No, they're going to go back to their hometowns and say, can you believe Joe Biden went and cut Social Security and Medicaid, Medicare? Can you believe he did that? This is who they are. On one side, they're like, you better be able to cut that Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. You better cut that. And if they actually do succeed, it's like, I can't believe he went out there and took away your Social Security. Republicans, because the news journalists of this country suck canal water. They suck the water out of Lake Chipotle. They don't actually hound these guys, unless it's a guy like George Santos. I have been impressed with how they've hounded that guy, but that's what it used to be like for every politician. They used to get hounded everywhere they went, and media is not doing their job, because there is a very obvious question that has to be asked on this. Republicans, back before Trump came into office, were screaming, you gotta fix the budget deficit. You gotta fix the budget deficit. Remember that? Why won't Barack Obama fix the budget deficit? Then Trump won. And funny story, not a single person cared about the budget deficit for 4 freaking years. Every stinking one of those hypocrites did not care about the budget deficit, did not care about spending at all. And proof of this was the Trump era tax cuts. Remember when they passed them, they brought the keg out and had a big party? Remember that? I do. Every economist looked at them. Their whole argument was, we're going to give everybody a tax cut. And the economists came back and said, well, no, you're really not going to give hardly anyone a tax cut. Most of this money is not going to be a tax cut. You're basically borrowing a bunch of money from China and then just giving it away to wealthy people and large corporations. And they said, no, we're not. And they said, no, it's written right here. It's in the bill. This is what you're going to do. No, we're not. Tax breaks for poor people. That's what we're doing. And they said, no, you're not. You're doing this. And all you're going to do is add a massive amount of money to the national debt. No, we're not. Yes, you are. This is your math behind how all this is, because their entire argument was, we're going to give all this money back to wealthy people, and then wealthy people are going to become kind of like these benevolent, millionaires that like the guy from Scrooge at the end of it, where he's just going down the street and chucking dollar bills and coins out the back of the car, saying, wee, money for everybody. That was kind of how they said, this is how this is going to go. They're going to give away so much free food and hire so many people and give so many people raises. It's going to be great. And they're saying there is nothing in here that tells them they have to do that. Our experience is they're not going to do that. And they said, yes, they will. They will. Funny story. They passed the Trump era tax cuts, and the economists were right. It only went to the wealthiest people and the largest corporations, and it absolutely cavitated the national debt. And this started happening in 2018, and not a single freaking Republican cared at all about this while they were doing it. Not a single one. They could not pat themselves on the back more. Did we do a great job? As the deficit was skyrocketing out of control. Now, I want to make sure, once again, it's not the only thing that's been there, but it added trillions of dollars to the debt. That one thing has created the mess that we're in now. The Trump era tax cuts are the problem. Absolutely. That's not a debate. They are the problem. So I find it somewhat dishonest and disingenuous for the Republicans to look at us and say, well, the Trump era tax cuts, they made a massive budget deficit, but the middle and lower class, even though they didn't get any benefits from those tax cuts, they need to take massive cuts to Social Security and Medicaid, Medicare, or else we're going to just destroy the world's economy. Republicans are offering some incredibly weak arguments why they won't do this. I will explain why those are absolute garbage when I do return. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
This is Ross Stadheim, partner at MJSB Employment Justice. When you've been wronged at work or something just doesn't feel right, it's hard to know what to do next. Our firm can help. We pride ourselves on communication and listening to our brave clients to obtain their own brand of justice. When you hire MJSB Employment Justice, you're not just a number. You're a valued client who will be represented by one of our experienced and accomplished partners every step of the way. That's our promise.
Be heard. You deserve better. Contact us today at mjsbjustice.com.
Hey, John, I heard you're turning 65 this year. Time to start comparing your Medicare insurance options.
I'm so overwhelmed with all the different Medicare companies and plan designs. I don't even know where to begin.
Really? I worked with CompareYourMedicare.com, and they made my Medicare decisions seem easy.
Oh, really? Well, what do they do?
CompareYourMedicare.com represents several of the top Medicare insurance companies in Minnesota. A local licensed agent will help you compare Medicare plans to determine which products best meet your needs and budget.
Hi, this is Jared with CompareYourMedicare.com. We're a local small business that prides itself in helping our community with their Medicare needs. Medicare is complex, but it doesn't have to be. Whether you're planning to retire early or work past Medicare eligibility at age 65, give us a call. We can guide you through how and when to apply for Medicare. Go to CompareYourMedicare.com or call 952-465-0074 to schedule a consultation. CompareYourMedicare.com is part of the Minnesota Health Insurance Network of Agents.
Do you have a car you no longer need but don't want to jump through all the hoops to sell yourself? Rudy Luther Toyota can help with their We Buy program. It's really simple. Go to rudyluthertoyota.com, click on the We Buy link, type in some basic information, and Rudy Luther will get you an instant and accurate offer. Then set an appointment, and after a quick verification of the vehicle, Rudy Luther will set up your payment with a check on the spot in most cases. We Buy. It's that simple. For more information or to sell your vehicle, head to rudyluthertoyota.com. That's rudyluthertoyota.com.
The Mary T family of companies serves seniors and people with a wide range of disabilities. We provide home health care, hospice services, and accessible rental housing. This is Mary T, and we'd like you to join us. We're hiring direct care professionals, CNAs, nurses, and other support services. Our mission is to provide quality, personalized services to meet the unique and evolving needs of the people that we serve. Join a Minnesota family-owned company that was founded on a history of care. Apply today at marytinc.com/careers.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. It basically boils down to this. The Republicans want to basically kill Social Security and Medicaid, Medicare, and are willing to basically tank the U.S. economy to do so. And their mentality is either give us cuts now, or we crash the entire system, and then we basically have to slice massive parts off of it because we've driven the economy down into this will make the Great Depression look like nothing. I asked a question earlier today about why every journalist is not asking this question. Since the debt exploded with the Trump tax cuts, which overwhelmingly favored the wealthy, why not undo those instead of asking the middle and lower class to sacrifice their Social Security and Medicare? That doesn't seem like an extremely outrageous question. Since the debt exploded with the Trump tax cuts, which overwhelmingly favored the wealthy, why not undo those instead of asking the middle and lower class to sacrifice their Social Security and Medicare? This is what this comes down to. And if you're getting your email from your cousin or your uncle who's that mega guy, that's what you would say. Why should we not undo those instead of killing our Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare? Now, so far, I have seen Republicans argue 2 points on why they can't, and both of them are just absolute garbage. I'll start with the comical one first. They're both pretty comical. The one I find to be even funny, the funnier, is the idea of, come on, Matt, if we undo that, all the economic positivity that was gained because of those tax breaks will go away. Oh, you mean our current economic situation, high inflation, basically job cuts, there was all these things, the pandemic. Oh, yeah. I got news for you. You guys didn't do a lot of good anyway. Now, the first thing that said is, well, it would have been a lot worse. Bull crap. No, it wouldn't have. Okay, let's take this. All right, so when Republicans, and once again, they don't give out tax cuts. I do not like calling them tax cuts. What their policy is, and this is by design, is to bankrupt the government by basically just borrowing money, handing it to the wealthy people and the wealthy corporations, and then saying, we can't pay that back by undoing it. You have to make cuts. And that's their entire argument. When companies, I'll start with the corporate side of this. When Republicans give corporations massive amounts of cash, just saying, here, you don't have to pay taxes. Here's a bunch of money from China. We'll take care of paying it back. We'll get those dupes that work for you. They'll pay it back. You guys can keep all this money. That money goes generally to 3 very distinct things. And this is by economic. You can look at the research on this. This is where most of that money goes. 1, to buy back corporate stock, which strengthens the position of the company. That has been a very large part of the conservative, corporate mentality of the last 5 to 6 years, is to buy back as much as their original stock as possible. 2 goes out to stock payer dividends, so paying out profits to stock payers. Or 3 goes to executive bonuses, which, once again, this is the real ugliness of America's corporate structure today. Not every company, but a heck of a lot of companies, the biggest priority is not the customer, the employee, their distributors, their suppliers. Nope. The only thing that matters is the executives. And they will destroy anything else to make sure the executives get theirs first. End of story. And by the way, isn't that the sign? That's Reagan economics right there. Executives will do anything, including destroy their own company, to make sure they get their payday. That is it. That is who these guys are. So no, that's not money not going to hire people. And don't give me this, well, I know one guy that hired one guy. Well, that's great. Overall, no, it does not go to hire a ton of people. It does not go to raise salaries. It does not go to cut costs. Sweet Jesus. Was at the grocery store today. You think any of those large corporations are cutting their costs with the tax break they got from Trump? Bull crap. No, they're not. So do not argue that giving these corporations massive amounts of money from China at our expense is somehow good corporate stewardship. It's not. Then there's the other side of it, the money they give to the wealthy, which is just, I mean, that is Republican America today. You're wealthy? Here's another $1 million. Just remember me come election season, because I'm going to be sending you a lot of invites for my fundraisers, and I sure would love it if you bought one of my golden circle tables at my big fundraiser. That would be fantastic. That's all it is. They're basically saying, hey, I'm going to retire from the House of Representatives next year, and sure, I'd love to get a job with your company as a lobbyist, and my wife would like to be on your executive board. Here's another $1 million. That's all this is, folks. There is nothing. This is not rocket science. This is no witchcraft. There is no mystery. There's no fun. That's all this is. Corporate donations to their campaigns, and then jobs for them and their families afterwards. And does that money? Let me ask you something. Do you think that money actually goes to anything? Anything that's going to make ourselves better? I mean, the entire concept of trickle-down economics was, we're going to give the wealthy people all their money back, and they're going to go, and the economy will go great. And the first thing I said is, so you're saying to me that wealthy people are going to just start buying a second gallon of milk? Well, no, not that. Oh, okay. Well, then are they going to just go buy a Toyota off the lot? Because the wealthy people generally don't buy cars off the lot. They go to some high-end dealership to go get some really nice looking car. No, don't take this nice car as any reflection on my own personal self in any capacity. It's just I need a car to appeal to the ladies. So no, that's it. They're not buying cars. They're not buying 4 more loaves of bread. They're not. There have been multiple studies which have shown, and I think one of them showed that in 1995, the other one showed closer to 2000, that the amount of money that we give back to the wealthiest people in this country through these Republican tax breaks never will ever impact your life whatsoever as long as you're alive. Because since these people are already filthy freaking rich, the money only goes into long-term investments that will eventually go to their ancestors. Seriously, they are buying it. We have gotten to the point, the Republicans have given so much money to the wealthy that they're not stashing this money for their lives. Their lives are set. Their kids' lives are set. Their grandkids are set. Their great-grandkids are set. Their great-great-grandkids are set. Their great-great-great-grandkids are set. Their great-great-great-great-grandkids are set. It's their great-great-great-great-great-grandkids. People who won't even be born for 120 years. You and I today are making sure those jackasses never have to work their life. That kid in 125 years will sit on some beach and be drinking Cristal, courtesy of the taxpayers of 2023. No, they don't increase the economy. They don't need to. They're wealthy. They already have money. They're not, you're just giving them another $1 million. They're just going to put it into another long-term investment. That's all they're doing. And they've been doing that for decades. They've been doing that for decades. So no, the first argument that, Matt, if we don't give these people their big tax breaks, the economy is, they're not spending the money on the economy. They're not spending the money on jobs. They're not And they know that, which makes their accusations and their insults to you even more disturbing. They know they haven't helped you. They know that they haven't made your life better. They know that this is worse for you. And they'll still look at you into your face and say, you're the loser. Because that's Republicans.